everyone, welcome to Lift Big Now. My name is Ashim and you're going to be viewing training footage of my bench press workout. I'm doing band resisted bench presses, working up to a heavy set. Actually there are many heavy sets and then I work up to one top single, and then I will be taking the bands off and doing some regular bench work, and even then I will be putting in a single with my current max of 110 kilos after all this volume. After bench I've done a lot of squats, working up to some new numbers. While you're watching these clips, I want to begin with what will become an ongoing series of tips and processes you can use to create your own strength training template. This can also be a powerlifting training template, but the main goal is that you want to get as strong as possible. I won't be giving you a routine because I don't believe in cookie cutters, but I am going to provide you with various ideas that you can implement into your current training or that you can use to create your own training template. Think of your training like a building block process. First, get your bare minimum exercises in. What are these? Let's talk it out. I'll give you an example. Say you want to train your squat. You want to get better at your squat. You've targeted the squat. If so, what is the one exercise you need to train your squat? The squat. The squat is itself the bare minimum exercise you need in order to get better at it. So place your power lifts or compound lifts as the highest priority in your training in terms of how much time you will dedicate to training them, your level of aggressiveness, and the volume you're going to be playing with. These are your bread and butter exercises. Everything else that you choose will revolve around improving these, so keep them limited in number. The next step is to select exercises that you think will benefit your main lifts. Just off the top of my head, you need to work your shoulders, upper back, and if you aren't doing a hell of a lot of deadlifts, then some posterior chain exercises. What is left? Some unilateral work for your upper body and lower body, which is something I like to call faith-based training. Lastly, you have fluff, which is your biceps, triceps, calves, traps, etc. Stuff that you can get rid of when the time comes to dial up the intensity on your main lifts. I want to make 2 points absolutely clear. One, these are all guidelines. These are not set in stone rules. Two, although I have identified secondary exercises, you don't need to force yourself into doing them. See, a lot of people like to train their main lifts by hitting a bunch of other lifts that supposedly support the main lift. So you will have people doing 3 different exercises that will bring up the deadlift instead of doing more of the deadlift itself. I do not advocate this indirect training at all, and therefore I will always insist that you keep your secondary exercises variable and just as a tool to improve the main lifts. Do not get attached to these secondary exercises. So a short recap, you need your big lifts. These can be 2 or 3 or whatever in number, but these are the cornerstones of your training template. Try to keep them in limit. Next, choose some secondary lifts that you believe will support these cornerstones. Don't rationalize it too much. Next, you have some faith-based exercises like unilateral work that you may or may not do, and at the end, you have all the fluff. So think about it like, if you want to start getting rid of exercises, you can start getting rid of the last one, which is your fluff, and then you move on to like your main lifts, which you absolutely cannot ever get rid of. Of course, unless you want to switch and shift your focus, which is absolutely possible. So now you should make a list of your own exercises. Just to throw out ideas, you can choose some variation of the squat, like the front squat. You can choose a pressing variation like the overhead press. I would advise you not to mess with deadlifts, but it is your choice. And for the other 2 lifts, you can choose barbell rows, and because you have already chosen a vertical pressing movement, you can choose closed grip bench press. Now keep in mind, this is purely an example just to get the ball rolling. I believe that every so often you should strip away all the clutter from your routine and come back down to your very basics. For me, personally, these are the deadlift, the bench press, and any squat variation and some back work. That's it. Deadlift, bench press, squat variation, and back work. That is it. Even if you don't take out the fluff at the core of your routine, you should be nailing just a handful of exercises and be really hammering away at them for a long time before you will truly dominate them. So pick your list, and remember that choosing a lift just because you love it and want to get better at it is absolutely acceptable. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Stay tuned for the next part in this series. Best lifts to you. Thanks.